Dear audience, welcome to the show POWERchat. This is the newest episode of POWERchat. We have been reaching out to you for last 3 years, discussing development, diplomacy, and the dignity and human rights and all. Today, through this special episode, the second live series, we are live from TV Today studio in Kathmandu, and we are going to discuss about the caste-based discrimination with a special focus on ending impunity and upholding dignity. Today, I'm joined by a group of experts from Nepal and India. I'm joined by Mr. Meen Vishwakarma, who is the Member of Parliament and former Minister for Commerce in Nepal. Also, I'm joined by Ms. Mohana Ansari, Commissioner at National Human Rights Commission of Nepal. I'm also joined by Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmaya, who is a noted journalist in India, and also the chairperson of Center for Dalit Studies in India. I'm also joined by Mr. J.B. Vishwakarma, who is an author and writer, also the chairperson of Dignity Initiative in Nepal. I would like to welcome all of you to the newest episode of POWERchat. Through this episode, we will be discussing about the state of caste-based discrimination in South Asia, with a special focus in Nepal and India. Before I start, I would like to present you with the state of the laws and policies in Nepal. In Nepal, the constitution and subsequent laws guarantee right to equality, right to Dalits, right to social justice, right against discrimination, caste-based discrimination, and untouchability. The Article 16, 18, 28, 40, 42 of the Constitution deal with these rights and have provisions for complaint, punishment, and compensation. Additionally, the Caste-Based Discrimination and Untouchability Offence and Punishment Act, which was amended on 15th of April 2019, prohibits untouchability and discrimination on ground of caste, color, race, or ethnicity. As such, Nepal is the state party to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, and Nepal's responsibility is to take specific measures to prevent and punish all forms of caste-based violence and the discrimination. However, Dalits and the minority groups in Nepal experience discrimination at every level of their daily lives. The places where they can collect water or the worship, and their choice of who to marry, who to have relationships, there are also structural barriers, the audience, and discrimination forcing Dalits to be deprived from these rights. Recently, there were 2 incidents that took on the same day in Nepal, which the distinguished panel will be discussing. On 23rd of May, body of a 12-year-old Dalit girl who discovered hanging from a tree in Rupandei district. The day before, she had been forcefully married to a man from a so-called upper caste who had raped her. A preliminary police investigation found that she has been raped and murdered in Rupandei district. On the same day, a Dalit youth named Navaraj Bike with a group of his friends from Jajarkot district traveled to Western Rukum district in Karnali province, the home of Navaraj's girlfriend, who belonged to a so-called upper caste. They were attacked and chased into a river, a very river. 5 men, 4 of whom, including Navraj, were Dalits, were later found dead, while another person is still missing. These incidents are just the representative type of incidents, and there is alleged involvement of ward chairs in both of these incidents. Ajit Mijar, Manbire Sunar, Sete Damai, Maina Sarki, Rajesh Nepali, Shreya Sunar, and Ditya Rasaili, Maya Bike, Asmita Sarki, Sangeeta Pariyar, Jhuma Bike have been killed on charge of getting into intercaste marriage, touching water and taps, entering to kitchen, and being witchcraft. this is widespread. These incidents are not stopping. And there are rumors that there are media reports that there is political protection to the perpetrators. To discuss all these situations, I have invited with four distinguished panelists, one from India, a reputed journalist and the chairperson of Center for Dalit Studies based in India, and a member of parliament who served as the Minister for Commerce in Nepal as well, who have a very important role in lawmaking. Also, I have invited with the Commissioner of National Human Rights Commission of Nepal, which has a monitoring role for the protection of human rights and rights of Dalits and all. And we have with us an author and the Dalit rights activist who is joining us. I would like to welcome each one of you, and I would like to start from Mr. Meen Vishwakarma. You are the Member of Parliament. You served as the Minister for Commerce, and you are actively engaged in advocating the rights of minority people, including that of Dalits. How do you see the overall situation of caste-based discrimination, Mr. Vishwakarma, in Nepal?
Good evening and namaskar, Lakshmanji, and JB, Monaji, all of you. Good evening and namaskar. Actually, the caste-based discrimination in Nepal is defined in two parts. Historically, it is supposed to be a part of religion, and secondly, it is a part of politics. And I think it is supposed to be a compact of both religion and it's a part of religion and politics both, and sometimes it is defined as a social part of the social part, and sometimes because of it's a part of social activities and social sometimes it is defined as social activities, I think.
Mr. Vishwakarma, you as a lawmaker, you represent the community in the Parliament of Nepal, and you served as the minister as well. What is your observation about the implementation of the laws and policy that I have explained here before we started this show? What is the state of implementation of the laws relating to the dignified life, equal rights, and the rights of minorities and Dalits in Nepal? Mr. Vishwakarma. I think he is not getting us. I will go back to him later. We have with us Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmiya, who is a prolific writer, a journalist in India, and he is currently chairing the Center for Dalit Studies, and he is knowledgeable in issues of minority rights, not only in India but the neighboring countries, including Nepal, Bangladesh, and other countries in this South Asia region. Mr. Lakshmaya, how do you analyze the state of caste-based discrimination in South Asia as such, with particular focus in India and Nepal?
Namaskar to all, and thank you very much, Mr. Lakshman, to give an opportunity to talk to this issue. We have a coordination South Asian Dalit Network, Southern. We are planning to coordinate the things for 5 countries: Nepal, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. Then question is how we can assess the atrocities. I think it's a centuries-old practice. It's not a new thing. Another important thinking is this is not a social or present problem. It's a hatredness. You are saying the two things you said. One thing is intercaste marriage. Second thing is the water. Then intercaste marriage is a very, very important aspect in the Hindu caste system. Because of that, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, B.R. Ambedkar told in his Annihilation of Caste, he's told is the marriage and dining is a very important thing to practice the untouchability and caste system. That's why anything of blood mixing, some caste, intercaste, basically Dalits to have a relations or marriage with other caste, basically upper caste, they will not tolerate. Another important thing is I want to tell you, Ambedkar told in his fifth volume, he, I think first of all, I will tell Nepal and India. I think there is not much difference in the caste system, society, all those things. That's why I am referring Ambedkar again and again. Ambedkar views and Ambedkar perspective will will definitely use to Nepal situation also. He told Hindu system have a Varna system basically. First is Varna, second is Avarna. In Varna,
Well, Mr. Lakshmaya, I'm interrupting you here. Since there are many laws guiding and protecting the rights of Dalits and minorities here in Nepal and India and elsewhere, and the countries are the state party and they have ratified with the several international human rights instruments, do you think at the moment the state authorities are effectively implementing these laws?
That's why I'm telling one background. I will tell you why, because these laws are not effective implementation. Because this whole system, whole caste system is the Varna, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They are one. The another important thing is these untouchables is another. That's why Ambedkar told in his perspective between Varna and Avarna belongs to Dalit. These are iron between these iron fencing. There is a mental block. There is a psychological hatredness.
Well, Mr. Lakshmaya, thank you very much for these initial thoughts. I will come back to you. We have with us Ms. Mohana Ansari. She is the Commissioner of National Human Rights Commission in Nepal, and NHRC. NHRC has a role to protect the rights of all human beings here in Nepal, including that of the Dalits and minority groups. Ms. Mohana Ansari, how do you analyze the state of the rights of minority people with a special focus on protecting the rights of Dalits communities?
Thank you so much, Lakshmanji, for very important program today. Good evening to all of distinguished fellow speakers from India, Nepal, and other who are listening to today's program. I think this is a very important question, Lakshmanji, you raised. And we all know that Nepal is one of the country in South Asia which have like a same problem across the South Asia. Nepal is also facing the similar kind of problem. And this is a very well-known issue, how minorities and Dalits have been discriminated since decade and decade. So this is a very in Nepal, many movements on ethnic movement, minorities movement, even Dalit movements is one of the very important movement in Nepal. After Maoist war, when the over and peace accord has been signed, and there is a one special provision, special point to reform the institutions, institutional reform. And later, when we are looking back, is that the institutional reform happening? We have to look at the legal perspective and human right perspective. First time in Constitution, there was a passed law which we call Muluki Ain, and later on to 2007 Constitution, strongly said like now it's a like Nepal is untouchability and racial discrimination is the first time mentioned in the Nepal's 27 constitution, which is like is very important, and that committed like in upcoming constitution there is a special provision for the Dalits. So why Nepal is obligated to look after the international treaties, as Nepal has committed on end of the all forms of racial discrimination. It was signed very long time ago.
Well, Ms. Mona Ansari,
I'm coming.
I will have other questions to you later. I just want to ask you a supplementary question. Where are we in relations to implementing these all laws that Nepal is a state party to, including that of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination and all, very quickly?
Okay, thank you so much. It's a Human Rights Commission's obviously it's obligated, and I just want to emphasize one very important point. Currently, our 2015 Constitution, and this time I think Constitution's preamble is violated now. And I'm going through your question. Where is as Nepal is a party of the international treaties and other sub treaty. So, I mean, is a third report has been very lately submitted by Nepal, and this is after Human Rights Commission's interference. We request many times government to timely submit the treaty committee report, and I think 1 year, just 1 year before government has submitted. And we have other like treaty obligation like CEDAW, CCPR and CSCR, which is all like very much binding on especially caste-based discrimination and other forms of discrimination.
Well, Ms. Ansari, I'm stopping you here for the moment. I'm coming back to you later with some other questions. We have with us Mr. J.B. Vishwakarma. He has been constantly writing on Dalit issues, minority issues, and currently leading a think tank group in Kathmandu, Dignity Initiative, as the chairperson. Mr. J.B. Vishwakarma, how do you evaluate the role of stakeholders, including that of the Parliament, Judiciary, National Human Rights Commissions, other constitutional body? We at the moment don't have officials with Dalit Commission. How do you analyze the role of these state authorities in relations to ending impunity or that of the caste-based discrimination?
Thank you, Lakshman, and other my fellow speakers. Basically, as you raised the questions of the impunity, the reality in Nepal is like every day, in every movement, people have been faced kind of caste-based discrimination. They are humiliated. They are, treated in inhuman practices in Nepal, and also they have been excluded in all, social forms, and also, the social and private spaces. They have been, excluded. They have been discriminated, and it has been, practicing since a long time. But as you said, like we have political structure, like Parliament has passed the act against this untouchability, and the 2015 Constitution, it has clearly says that the practice of untouchability has prohibited in private or public both places. And also it has said like it's kind of severe kind of social crime in Nepal. But while we go into the practices, then we can see like in every movement they have been faced a lot of challenges. They have been discriminated, but the implementation of the constitution and legal provisions are very much poor. For example, I can say like there are at least more than 20% have been killed by the so-called higher caste people after the after the implementation of Untouchability Act, which has passed in 2011. in these days, in the kind of pandemic situation, we have faced a lot of challenges. For example, as you mentioned in the earlier, like 12 years girl, she has been raped by a person, so-called higher caste people, and she was coming. I mean, she was sent with him as her wife, and she committed suicide. Another kind of historical accident, a kind of an incident happened in Rukum, when a person, a youth, has been gone to to meet her like kind of girlfriend, and they had supposed to get married. And the incidents that we have studied and we are frequently following up, it says like she was invited, I mean he was invited by her, and they had planned to go back together as husband
Well,
and wife.
Mr. J.B. Vishwakarma, I'm stopping you here and going back to Mr. Meen Vishwakarma, the Member of Parliament and former Minister. Mr. Meen Vishwakarma, how do you see this situation? You know, in the two incidents that JB was referring, there was alleged participation, involvement of the ward chairpersons, and it is, widely heard. There are media reports, and there is civil society criticism that there is often political protection to those involved in the activities or the actions that went against the laws and policies that guarantee the rights of Dalits and minority groups. How do you see, is there political protection given to the people involved in the incidents that were taking place here in Nepal of late?
Yeah, actually, Lakshmanji, it's a serious matter that politicians are frequently involved in such an incidents and sometimes such an activities when we talk about the caste discrimination issues, and when it does such issues come up, then politicians involved are seen there because
Your audio is not heard.
sorry.
Yeah, please go on.
Of my
We're getting you. Yeah. It's good now. Please carry on, Mr.
Can I
Vishwakarma.
speak now?
Yeah, please.
And then we hope that the political person should not have involved there, but in Rukum, Jajarkot, or Soti massacre, I am saying massacre of Dalit youths, we also smell that political leaders like MPs and local leaders also are involved. That should not be according to the political or social norms. But I also believe that they have been involved. If the political persons and political leaders are involved there, the case may not be fair, and the case may not be concluded according to the law and orders. We may not practice very fairly. The laws may not be practiced. So it's a serious matter. We also are very much worried, and we have been protesting against such activities, which is seen even in the parliament also.
Well, Mr. Vishwakarma, how do you see the state of legal these legal issues, the laws and constitution and policies? There is a group. How do you see the implementation of the laws and policies? Are they adequate? You are a lawmaker. Very quickly.
Caste discrimination issues are divided in 4 parts: before the age of democracy, and during the democracy, and after the restoration of republican. Before the democracy, there was not laws, any provision of law, and after the democracy, we had provision of punishment, but we didn't have any provision of compensation to the victims. After we get a republican system of government, political systems, there we found one interim constitution, and I was the member. Luckily, I have time to explain myself. I was the member of drafting committee of interim constitution, and there we mentioned one provision in Article 14. There was against caste discrimination, and we define and explain the criteria and provision what would be the caste discrimination and what would not be. According to the interim constitution, we made one act. We have a we have a constitution now, and that constitution.
Sorry,
explains-
Mr. Min Vishwakarma, I am interrupting you, but it has already been 15 years, passed by that there is no monarchy, there is freedom, there is Republican country, there is democracy, many laws were passed, you people implement, enforced with several laws guaranteeing, please listen me, guaranteeing the rights of all individuals, and where are we now? Don't you think that there is very weak implementation of these laws by the state authorities?
Yeah, I'm just one line concluding that we have made laws, we have made constitution, we have made some regulations also, but we are thinking that because of lack of participation in the implementing agencies or government agencies, there is a lot of lackings in implementation of laws and or other regulations, so that the victims would not have justice right now.
Well, I'm stopping you here for the moment and going back to Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmiya. How do you see, Mr. Lakshmiya, the state of laws and legislations protecting the rights of minority and Dalit in India?
It's a very sad thing happening in India also. We had a big constitution. Rightly you said, you read out all articles like that. We have a abolition of untouchability 17, 19, 21, 36, 38, 46. Like that we had so many things. Another important thing is we had a special acts for the protection of Dalits and minorities and women and children, but there is nothing progress in implementation because I was told before first my intervention, these all our acts are laws not implementing because of there is an antagonism towards the Dalits. If you take the political representative, who are they? Mainly belongs to upper caste. If political representative belongs to scheduled caste in India, Dalits in Nepal or Dalits in India also, they are all related to political parties. Political parties heads is upper caste people. That's why these leaders and the political parties, they are totally not interested to protect the Dalit rights.
Mr. Lakshmaya, often there is public criticism over these discriminations, and people often criticize religions, that of Hindu or other religions. Don't you think that there is no efficient implementation of the laws and there is fault line on part of the state authorities in a state of the religion? What do you think? Very quickly.
No, that's why I'm telling. These are the leaders are belongs to total, even machinery, even executive and law and order machinery are courts. You can take. We have a 70 years constitution. You are the 10 years or 15 years. We have 70 years. But the punishment or conviction rate is a 9 to 10%, because these all political parties and executive magistrate, they are all belongs to one segment. They are not proactive towards women. That's why I'm telling these are because of Hindu religion monotony, Hindu religion autocracy is ruling the country of India. Like that, we have a constitution. We had a constitution. Nothing. We had a good constitution. We have a good act. But because of antagonism, that's why we are addressing the three issues. One is the antagonism of the society. Second is, you are saying that our people, middle class, employees, political leaders, they are not with us. They are with the ruling parties. Third thing is, there is no awareness with the masses. That's why these atrocities are going on. There's somebody is attack. If you take in India, the notorious atrocities. 70 people died one time. 40 people died one time. Some areas, these are very, very cruel killing. That's why even rapes, murders, every year we have a statistics. Thousands of murders, thousands of rapes. Every 3 days, one rape. Every 3 hours, one murder. Like that, we had a very, very, very crucial society we are living here.
Well,
In Corona,
thank you very much,
one
Mr.
important thing
Lakshmaya. I'm
I
going
tell
back
you,
to Mohana Ansari, Commissioner of National Human Rights Commission. There is criticism over the National Human Rights Commission's role in the recently happened incidents of Nepal, that NHRC was not able to play effective role providing justice, protecting the rights of Dalits and minority people in the recent incidents of Rukum and Jajakot or in Rupandehi. What you have to say? NHRC is working well, protecting the rights of minority people here in Nepal. Is there any administrative or technical challenge that NHRC is facing at the moment? What can be improved? Mohana Ansari.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmanji, for the important question. I think there is some reality. Yes, untimely intervention is not happened from our side. That we have to accept it in Jajakot and Rupandehi same. Sometime, as from the civil society or people from the media, as they said, issuing the statement is not sufficient. Timely intervention, deploying the fact-finding mission is very essential when somebody's human right is violated. So today, we are in a COVID situation and lockdown. Our majority staffs are at their home, as they are also following the government restriction. If not necessary, don't go for out from your home. Better to stay home. So I think the lockdown policy also followed by Human Rights Commission. That's why we discussed very seriously within the commission that commission must be active, especially in a COVID situation. Our monitoring should be regulated by ourselves. Our fact-finding mission is done by our staff, because we have a very much trained human resources within our commission. So we believe in our work. So that's why I think today I came to know from our administrative office that one team is deployed for Jajakot, and I said thank God that lately after 9 or 10 days it happening, but thank God that our mission is deployed. We are not depending from the other side report. We are going to bring our own first-hand report. So I think the same mission is also required for the Rupandehi from our another office, as we have 11 offices all over Nepal. So if Human Rights Commission is not working in the crucial time and crucial period, who is going to work for that and bringing the independent reports and fact findings?
But Ms. Ansari, do you agree to the criticism that the National Human Rights Commission's interventions are not timely?
Very late. Yes, I agree, and I appreciate that criticism also. Sometimes civil society or journalists need to open our eyes sometime by criticizing or by sending their anger notes. That's sometimes it's very required to sending their anger note to Human Rights Commission.
Well,
that's why we call.
Thank you, Mohana Ansari. I'll come back to you for final thoughts. I'm going back to Mr. J.B. Vishwakarma. J.B. Vishwakarma, how do you see the role of state authorities again in relations to case filing, providing justice, that of the judiciary, courts, human rights commissions? Sadly, there are no officials with the Dalit Commission. and all at the moment, and reparation and compensations?
Actually, it's very serious matter in Nepal. Like there are a lot of restrictions to get justice in this kind of structure in Nepal. I will just briefly talk about it. Like if we go from bottom to top approach, then we can see like most of the cases happen in the rural areas that are, that doesn't go into the police, because the people in the village, they try to settle in the village whether it is criminal case or not, but very few of the cases has been reported in the police. But it's very hard to even file the FIR in the police station, because they, most of the cases, they don't want to they register the FIR in the police stations, because they think this is not a matter of investigation, and it's not a matter of the crime, right? And when, I mean, there are very few cases registered into the police station. Very few of them goes into the court, as the caste-based discrimination is considered as it has to be looked after by the government lawyers and attorneys. But we have found a lot of, in a lot of cases, the role of the police, they don't investigate the cases very seriously, and in the role of the the attorneys, they also not try to make the issues very strong in the court. In many cases, what they do is they just try to make it, they try to make it very, 4 cases, and they present into the court. But
well, JB, why so happening very frequently? Is because of the lack of awareness, or because of the fear from the authorities themselves?
No, that's a different thing. Like most of the people who are in the authority bodies, for example, who are the police, which caste or which community they belong to, who are the people who are the attorneys in the districts and different layers, and who are the people who are holding the judiciary. For example, I just want to say one data, like in the judiciary of Nepal, we have found 86% they have been held by a particular caste area groups. There are only two, the judge, the district judge, they belong to Dalit community. It means like most of the judiciary has been held by a particular caste group. They also have kind of discriminatory mindset, which has injected in their blood, which has embedded in their bloods. That has reflected into the cases of the judicial processes. That also affected.
Well, thank you, JB. I'm going back to Mr. Meen Vishwakarma. There are very serious issues that JB has mentioned. There is lack of awareness, and people don't believe on the justice system itself. And of late, the former Prime Minister of Nepal, Baburam Bhattarai, yesterday is saying that now these so-called upper caste people should change their surnames. Mr. Meen Vishwakarma, do you think that by changing surnames, we would be able to uphold the dignified lives in Nepal, especially the protection of the rights of Dalits and minority people? What should be done in the state?
The supreme commanders or supreme leaders of different political parties, which they give speech in the program of Dalits and Dalit organized programs. I think they are teasing the Dalit community. Sometimes they tease, like a saying, putting surnames in a different way, which resembles to Dalit non-Dalit community of caste of non-Dalit communities. And I think they are teasing only, because it is not the serious matter, and it's not the serious measures to get achievements like equality, dignity, and justice. Just which Jerry said is a reality. Jerry said that there are no more participants in judiciary and in the police and armies and government personnel. When we do not have any representatives or any participation there, the victims may not dare to file the cases. But when we empower them and they go to the police, and we need a big gather, and we need more to push them. We have to give them power by political organization, and non-governmental organization, which we have been seeing day by day. Just for example, the Rukum case, the police didn't go at the right time when they have uh, they have been attacked by the villagers, but police didn't go there timely. And secondly, if the same case had happened in other communities and other areas, police or government and home minister, prime minister may have a flight, helicopter flight to there. But we didn't have any response even today. So we visited the home minister now and we complained about that. So what Jerry said is the reality, and I am repeating that the same thing, that until or unless we have equal participation or proportional participation to the different organs of the government, we may not have equal dignity and justice now.
Could you also add upon the role of parliamentary committees? Plus,
Yeah.
you know, when these incidents happen, there are special committees established, commissions established. It is because the state machinery does not work properly, and there requires the special committees and commissions. Why so happens very
Yeah,
frequently?
I believe that we have special committees of parliament like judiciary and human rights committee in parliament, and we have proposed to conduct one meeting about Rukum Jajarkot massacre incidents. So I believe that parliament has a big role. Parliament can make a government responsible about the case. So we have raised the issues in parliament, and we sometimes make hurdles to conduct the parliaments also. We oppose, we complain, and we raise the issues very in a big sound in parliament. But because of government's activities and government's prejudice mind of the government people, they are not doing activities in actual or in a right time, in right way, so that people still are victimized. Of the people of Dalit community are still victimized because of the or lacking of government good activities and good measures they have taken.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mean Vishwakarma. Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmiya, what are your suggestions to the stakeholders, including that of the state agencies, and how do you see the role of civil society organizations in this region, South Asia region?
And now that's why we firmly believed the state can work for the Dalits and poor. Civil society role is very important. Civil society should act as a proactive. They should collect the facts and they should pressure on the government with the
Is
political
the audio problem?
What is it? Hello?
I'm not getting you, Mr. Lakshmiya. I'm going back to JB. Could you highlight the role of civil society? You are also leading one of the think tank group in Nepal that falls under civil society, and often there is criticism that civil society is inclined into different political lines and they serve the interest of political parties rather than the implementation of laws and policies that protect the rights of Dalits and minority people in Nepal. JB.
Especially there are two parts. One is we can see kind of mainstream civil society, what they have been doing on the issues of these cases or on the rights of Dalit issues, right? First, we can see whenever the incident happens against Dalit, and if there are any kind of caste-based discrimination, most of the so-called mainstream civil societies, they don't care about it because they think like this is only the matters of Dalit community. That's not the matters of overall civil society, which is a big problem in Nepal that we have been faced. Second, there is a civil society that's formed by especially Dalit community and the marginalized communities. What they have done is like whenever the cases happen, they have to make their voices loud from using different means or different mediums. For example, like what they have done is like they are trying to create kind of pressure to the political parties. As you said, there are a few problems. As you said, like, they are also inclined with some political parties. In that time, they can't raise their voice properly. They don't come into the street when the movement has been happening. We have an example of this incident. For example, like, there was a movement against the a provision that is made by the Public Service Commission, which has cut down the reservation quotas for Dalit. But the civil society organizations who are inclined to the particular political party, they hesitated to come into the state. It means like they also have been, kind of different kind of mindset. They want something else from the government, from the political parties. They don't criticize their political parties in which they belong to. This is kind of big problem that we have been faced. The more important thing is, like, whenever the cases happen, the mainstream civil society also has to raise their hand, raise their voices, and to find out the facts, find out the send their missions to find out the facts. For example, in this case in Rukum, I haven't seen, there are a lot of civil society organizations working in Nepal, but they haven't sent their missions to find out the cases. Very few organizations they have sent, but those report hasn't come out. What we believe is, like, if they send their missions or fact-finding teams without the representation of Dalit communities, maybe that they can't bring the reality of the
thank you, J.B. Vishwakarma. Mohana Ansari, how do you see the role of civil society? You at the National Human Rights Commission, you often partner with the civil society organizations protecting human rights here in Nepal. Also, there is criticism that the role of NHRC and other constitutional bodies, independent bodies, of late is weakened. It is not so strong. That happened to be in the last decades during the time of conflict. What do you have to say on that? Mohana Ansari, please check with your audio.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, voice was, now it's fine.
Please.
I think a few days ago, I wrote a very strong note on my Facebook wall saying 2 decades of establishment of Human Rights Commission. Why this Human Rights Commission is properly not addressing the issue of minorities, Dalits, women. Why is the reason? The reason is very clear reason. This is a political interference, political alignment, and sometimes it affects on Human Rights Commission as well. As all of them are saying, and I also have a very strong feeling, minorities and Dalits' voice are segregated. They are not in a one voice, segregated because of this civil society organization and their inclinement with the political party. This is very clear after 2004, 2003 movement. They have been divided on a different kind of political party. And if you are going to check with the civil society, there is a human rights civil society in line with the Maoist thought. There is another human rights civil society in line with another political party, NC, and so many. I think this is because of everyone thinking that human right is a individual business. I don't think the human right is the individual business. This is the collective business. If we are talking about injustice and killing, we have to come together and raise our voice.
Well, thank you, Mohana Ansari. Because of time, I'm stopping you here and going back to Mr. Meen Vishwakarma.
Yes.
I want to make my last comment.
Please, very quickly. We are running out of time.
Very quickly. I have a very serious concern that out of the court mediation on the caste-based discrimination is continuously affecting the human lives in Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Meen Vishwakarma, your final thoughts. I will then go to Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmi. He is actually observing our discussion here and with some insights from India, and he will wrap up this discussion. what should be done immediately? If you have to mention some things in points, Min Vishwakarma, what should be done so that all individuals and all human beings in Nepal would live dignified life very quickly?
Yeah, I think the laws which are existing in Nepal to eliminate caste-based discrimination should have implemented effectively through the government, different organizations like police and then judiciary and other government lawyers or attorneys and bureaucratic agencies also should have been aware to implement the laws very effectively, first of all. Secondly, the political leaders should have changed their mind. Political leaders, they do not have fear mind about the societies. They just, Mona said, they also are divided into their own communities and they carry on their own communities issues like Hindu people bring their Hindu agendas and upper caste people carry their own upper caste agendas. And we Dalit people, we belong to Dalit community. We have to carry our issues continuously through the history. We collect only our issues. You can see the parliament. In the Rukum case, because of the Dalit youth's killing, we raised issues in parliament by Dalit MPs. They do not, the other communities MPs didn't raise the issues. Lastly, when we complain, and then our parties and other parties leaders from different communities also raise the issue. That is the problem. That's why when we have the violation of human rights, whether Dalit communities or belong to women or non-Dalit communities, should have raised the issues whoever is present in the parliament.
Well, thank you, Min Vishwakarma. Finally, I'm going back to Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmiya. Is that true also in India that the issues of Dalits are not raised or discussed by non-Dalit people? Plus, your any final thoughts, recommendations to the governments of South Asia? Very quickly, Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmiya.
Rightly you said is the many upper caste people, intellectuals, they are not really responding about Dalit issues. That is the one thing. Second thing is, I want to say two things. One thing is acts and constitution should be implemented properly. How it is possible? How it is possible? The Dalits organization should be go to the villages, educate the people and organize the people, and they would stand by with the people. If your experience is there, you got a democracy. How you fought and you rigorously work for that. That's why this organization should work for the Dalits. Even another important thing is caste issue, not a class issue. Class issue is the different. Caste issue is a very psychological mind issue. That's why these upper caste people should change their minds. Government also should work for the Dalits with the constitution, morality, constitution, values. That's why these upper caste people should change their minds. The Dalit middle class, whoever, they got some opportunities, they got some strength with the reservations, whatever, they should work for the poor people. Poor people also should develop their education, develop their rights-based education. These three things should be implemented. One, the governments also should work for the people. Otherwise, if you Nepal development, we can say something. The 20-25% is harassing, 75% in the poverty, 25% in the illiteracy. How can we say the Nepal development? How can we say in the India development?
Well, Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmiya, thank you for your final thoughts. I would like to thank each one of you, dear audience. Today we were joined by a group of experts from India and Nepal. We are joined by Min Vishwakarma, Member of Parliament and former Minister for Commerce for Nepal. Also, we are joined by Mona Ansari, Commissioner of National Human Rights Commission of Nepal. We were also joined by Mallepalli Lakshmiya, noted journalist of India. India, who is also the chairperson of Center for Dalit Studies, and by J.B. Vishwakarma, chairperson of Dignity Initiative. We discussed on ways ending and combating racial and caste-based discrimination in Nepal. With this, we'd like to wrap up this show. We'll see you next week with some other issues. Till then, keep watching TV Today SD. Thank you so much.